My name is Margaret, and I came from an abusive home in southeast Kansas. I met somebody in the high school I went to that was the perfect person to find me. He was an abuser and I was a victim. I had a flashing neon sign on my forehead that said, "Hey, come abuse me. I'm quite comfortable with this." Only I didn't know there was another way of life. From there, we went to college and ended up then teaching school on the Aleutian chain. The abuse continued, it accelerated. One day, he had been out on a boat. I think there were drugs involved, and he came back to the apartment we were staying in. He took off a belt and he beat me for 8 solid hours. It is normal for an abuser to pick the things that are most precious to the victim and try to destroy those right in front of the victim. In my case, it was 2 little poodle dogs. I had, prior to that time, not been a believer. I, in fact, had been a mocker of Christians, of religion, of Jesus, of everyone. That particular time, I felt like this was the last of it for me. I wasn't going to survive this beating. I then prayed, if there is a God up there, take care of the little dogs. I don't care about me, but I do care about the dogs. I fell asleep after 8 hours of being beaten, and the next morning I woke up. I had no bruises, I had no broken bones, I had no black eyes, which was incredible. I also knew that at that time I had been wrong. There is a God up there. I went to work for the IRS in Anchorage for 22 years. I was told to do unethical and illegal things, and I refused. I was told if I didn't, I would be fired, and I was fired. I sued the IRS even though they had absolute immunity. I was the only employee that has ever sued them. And I sued them through the Merit System Protection Board in San Francisco. The case started there, went to Washington, D.C. to the Court of Claims, and went back to the Merit System Protection Board, and a judge there spent a month going through my records. She found that everything I said was the truth and everything the IRS said was wrong. And she said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to law school." And she said, "Do you have any money?" And I said, "No." I prayed over the weekend, and God said, "You are going to law school, and you're going to be a tax attorney, and you're going to work for abused women and children." So I told her the next day, and that is exactly what I did. I went to law school in Grand Rapids, Michigan. When I first signed up, I found that the tuition was $30,000 per term. And then I found out right after arriving in Grand Rapids that I'd been declared dead in Alaska 6 months prior to that. I had no knowledge of that. I did not know my properties had been seized. God was with me in this entire life story, because at that point, I was able to get a student loan for $10,250, and I went to law school. There is such a need out there for anybody to help abused women and children. They cannot help themselves, and they need the support of the community. They need the support of anybody in the church. The church cannot turn their backs on them. Mother Teresa said, "If you can't feed 100, feed 1." I think this is applicable to abused women and children. If you can't help 100 get out of bondage, help that one. My story is that I have overcome one pitfall after another. I didn't realize it at the time, but God's grace has been with me through this entire ordeal. However, I have persevered with His grace, and He is now giving me this opportunity to give something back, and it's only due to God's grace.